Welcome everybody to this video presentation of mine. Some have wondered if the seals, the seven seals in the book of Revelation has already started. And and I'd like to just look at that for a moment. I believe it has. I think we've already seen the white horse rider. Now, I was looking in the book of 2 Samuel, we're studying that, and I've noticed something interesting about the beginning of the reign of David. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah for 7 years and 6 months. And then in Jerusalem, he reigned for 33 years over all Israel and Judah. And so this struck me, this David reigning for 7.5 years, just over Judah. And, uh, and I was looking at that in terms of the book of Revelation. And what struck me is the guy who opens the seven seals is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And this was the beginning of his reign, David's reign, the start of the kingdom, you see, the kingdom of David. And I thought this was typical or prophetic of Jesus Christ when he begins to take over. And this is what we see at the start of the book of Revelation. Here he is beginning this 7.5 year period, which I think includes the seals and then the seven trumpets and the seven bowls. And then he begins this while at the same time the dominion of Satan is beginning to fall. Satan is divided against Satan. And I want to look at this for a second and just, but here, what's really happened is the start of the white horse. So here we have, right at the beginning of the book of Revelation, the first seal, we have this, and one of the elders said to me, "Weep no more. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has conquered. And so that he can open the scroll and its seven seals." And this is the beginning of the reign of David, I think, really Christ. He is going to take this, thy kingdom come. Paul says, through great tribulation, we must enter the kingdom of God. So it is this first 7.5 year period that God is showing us here, because after that, he reigns from Jerusalem, and so this is hasn't happened yet, but it's the precursor. This tribulation period, starting with the rider of the white horse. Now, this is exactly what Jesus is talking about when his disciples come to him on the Mount of Olives, and they said, "What's the sign of your coming in the end of the age?" They're talking about when is your kingdom going to come? And so they're talking about this final period, or at least Jesus is, this final 7.5 years when he begins to reign. And it's Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no man deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and deceive many." This is just the rider of the white horse, and which the Lion of the tribe of Judah broke the first seal, and here it is. And so we are beginning to enter into this kingdom. It's interesting, the rider of the white horse. So we should, if we're into this tribulation period, if we started, then we should see the rider of the white horse. And I think that's exactly what's happened with Donald Trump taking office, January 20th. Here he's depicted as riding a white horse, and it's a picture of winning the White House, winning an election, and this is what he did. I think this fits perfectly with the first seal and what Jesus opens up, and with Trump's 2025 election. It says here, "I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he sat on him, had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went out conquering and to conquer." And so, Trump has won an election. And this crown here is not like the crown of David. This is a victory crown, and it's a crown that, like a presidential election. but not a king. And and so I think this is exactly what we're seeing here, the start of this tribulation period. Now, here's another interesting thing I noticed about the king of Babylon, and it fits a lot with what's going on right today. And he's called an oppressor. And it says, well, as I was saying, we got Satan's kingdom falling and God's kingdom coming. And they're to take up this taunt. It says, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How has the oppressor come to an end? How has his fury ended? And so we have the fall of Babylon predicted, and this king. In fact, the king is called Lucifer. But the word here for oppressor is the word nagas, and it's a Hebrew word, and it means to tax, like extortion, like tribute, or even more like tariffs. And China has complained that Trump is using extortion by these tariff measures. 125% tariff on China's imports into the United States, and they're reciprocating it. So we have this trade war. So here's pretty interesting. And there's also another area where Trump fits in terms of the hired hand, the hireling. David was eventually the king of Israel, but before that, right now Israel has no king. In fact, they crucified Christ. So he's not reigning, just like David wasn't back in 2 Samuel. He was reigning over Judah, but not over all of Israel. And here we have a picture, I think, of the hired hand. So Israel needs a shepherd. They need a king. This is where Trump fits in. This is where they bring in the king of Babylon, which God always said to them, don't make any deals with the other nations. But here they're going to do it with Trump, I believe. But what happens? He sees the wolf coming, because he doesn't own the sheep, and he's not the shepherd. He sees the wolf coming, and he flees, and the wolf scatters the sheep. This is what's going to happen to Israel. Here's another one, it talks about the lamb-like beast, and it talks about, I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. And Trump, in his first time in the White House, was almost lamb-like, because he didn't do what he's doing now, mainly because they were trying to impeach him. They were trying to convict him later on, and they were even trying to, some people were trying to assassinate him. And so here he was more of a victim, but instead of losing power, he got more support, more and more, so that he wins this next election. But now this lamb-like beast begins to speak like a dragon. He takes off the facade, and now we begin to see. But it's too late. He's in power now. Now here's the other side of this, the kingdom. Like I said, we got one kingdom beginning, and the other one's going to fall. Satan, Jesus says, if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? You see? And we see this kingdom of his is the woman riding the scarlet beast. And but it's going to become divided against itself, Jesus says. Right now it isn't. It's in some kind of alliance. But this is nothing but what we're seeing right now today. It's America is the woman, and in the scarlet beast is the European Union in some form or another. And these two who are in alliance right now in NATO are going to begin to fight against each other. And here it is. We have America and Europe in a trade war, and they're also in a division with regard to Ukraine, especially the Ukraine war. Europe wants to supply more. Trump wants to pull back. He's trying to make peace with Putin, and he's trying to get out of it. And so these two beasts are beginning to come into conflict with one another, just as the book of Revelation says. We see in Revelation 17:16, the beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute and will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So here, once this woman riding the beast, this alliance, has turned into, these Satan against Satan, you see. We have NATO, which is one of the strongest military defense blocks, turning against each other. And this is what I think we're seeing, mainly because of some of Trump's crazy policies. So what's this got to do with our standing right now? Well, the just shall live by his faith. And so what we see here in the line of the tribe of Judah, opening the first seal, the white horse, we have the beginning of his reign, and like David. And so we know that he is in charge. He's going to reign for 7.5 years. And then, and in that time, his kingdom rises and will be established, and the kingdom of Satan was going to fall. And we looked at that. So what do we do? But as many as received him, to them he give the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name. So I hope you've done that. And, Christ was delivered up for our offenses, but he was raised up for our justification. God bless.